Our new salute should be this.
Kapla.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who brings the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome, everyone, from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States, Western Hemisphere, North American continent on this planet Earth. The only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight for 7th of November, 2024. Let me get to the business end of the program a little quickly here if I can. First off, great shout by Mike asking if that was a Klingon or a Terran Empire salute.
It's the Terran Empire salute. Sorry about
awesome. Thank you for that, because I honestly wasn't sure. Just wrecked my Trekkie creds right there. Business end of the program. This is the Kennedy Effect live for the 7th of November, 2024. You are watching us live on the Facebook pages of Ghost Claw Productions, the TCP Media Group, Our Revolution Pennsylvania, my own personal Facebook, Jeff Kennedy, and of course our home group Facebook page for all things that surround the program. That Other Side of Information. We are live on our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. We are live on our Twitch, Jeff R. Kennedy. We are live on LinkedIn, Jeff Kennedy as well. We have shared the program to 100 places tonight, a mix of internet radio groups as well as democratic political groups. And of course, the audio of the program blasting out around the globe via gcpr.live, gcpr.live, the internet radio station for Ghost Claw Productions, Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live. Plug that into any search engine that you may use. Continue to recommend DuckDuckGo, and you will find us. That is our main website. You can listen there. Also, check out about the rest of the schedule, the other show hosts, and so on and so on. We continue to add programming to the network. There is a possibility that we will have a guest tonight. I am not 100% certain of that Cole Goodman might be jumping in a little bit. Cole is, needless to say, on fire, and may be sharing some of that with us. I am not 100% certain of that, but there's a possibility of that. Phone line, I have no idea quite yet. I'm going to try to get as far into this program as I can. I haven't even talked to George really since last night. Last night, I simply did not get out of my medical test early enough to get back here and get set up and get on with you. Let me say a quick welcome before I forget, before I am very rude. And let me say a quick hello and welcome to Donna and Randall and Mike. And I hope I say this right. God, you're going to kill me if I don't say it right. Jonquia. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I think I am. I'm kind of pronouncing it as it's written. So hopefully that's okay. Let me give you a quick update. I did not, I simply didn't get back quickly enough last night to be with you, unfortunately. And I just couldn't. The test went long. The wait went long. And then the test went long. I mean, good news that everything was okay, or at least appears to be okay with my heart. The problem with that is that I had another full-blown episode today at work and had to come home early and immediately went to sleep. I could not breathe. I was sweating. I almost passed out. Tunnel vision. My face, arms, and hands went numb. That's a new one. The tunnel vision I find disturbing because everything goes black around here and it begins to funnel in to where I can't see. So we have to keep searching for what's wrong. Lots of chest pains today. Chest pains now, as a matter of fact, as I am with you at the moment. So here's what's going to be happening going forward. I'm going to take you as deep into the program as I possibly can. I think Superplex is on at 9. I put a message in the chat. Nobody's answered me quite yet. I think they're on at 9.
I'll find out.
I don't know if they did the show last night. So we will probably have to wrap up right at 9. And then going forward, we fully plan and expect to be with you Sunday from 6 to 9 here at GCPR, all of our video outlets, as well as Hot 101, and then a very reduced schedule starting next week. I thought that we would carry into next week with a full schedule because I expected lawsuits and everything across the country regarding the election. That clearly is not going to happen. This presidential election is over. We will have one party government. The Republicans have control of both houses of Congress, and I know that the media outlets have not called House of Representatives for the Republicans yet, but trust me, they got it. The path for the Democrats to gain the majority is as thin as a hair. While technically, mathematically, there is a chance, I would be gobsmacked if that happened. So we will have full one-party government. They have both houses of Congress. They have the White House. Trump should, in all likelihood, be able to appoint anywhere from 2 to 4 more Supreme Court justices. I would expect, since they have the Senate, he will be able to appoint as many as 400 more federal judges. Remember, he got just shy of 400. I think it was in the 330 range. His first 4 years, the only one who appointed more judges than he in 4 years is Joe Biden. And if you don't follow some of these folks on Twitter, I don't either, but I've had friends send me the screenshots. Steve Bannon, Matt Walsh, Heritage Foundation. Now the truth is beginning to come out. All of them have said, now that this is over and done with, we can now tell you, yes, Project 2025 is the blueprint for the Trump second term. After denying it and lying about it, saying he had nothing to do with it and all of that, even though his name appeared in the 900-page document 300 times, it is the plan, period. It's the plan. And that they are going to begin on day one. It has become tradition in this country, sadly, to bypass Congress and do a lot through executive order. And presidents of both parties have done it. But you are going to see a flurry of executive orders on day one to, sadly, unfortunately, to borrow a phrase from the president-elect, and that's who he is now, the likes of which you've never seen. We are going to undergo a complete fundamental change in the nature of this country. The federal government, as you have known it for your lives, regardless of how old you may be, or young you may be, will cease to exist. You can say goodbye to the Department of Education, Department of Energy, Department of the Interior, Department of Labor. Most, if not all, financial regulatory agencies. You can say goodbye to the EPA. It all goes bye-bye. The idea of an independent Department of Justice is now gone. Those of you who are on Social Security, depending on how your age and health, Trump has promised to eliminate the payroll tax for Social Security. That is how Social Security is funded, which means he would bankrupt the system within 7 years, which is the plan. And until such a time as they can shut down Medicare entirely, the privatization of which will continue, and I suspect accelerate. But here I think is the ultimate plan, or sorry, not plan. There's a million takeaways from this election. And there are even more, there's probably a million ramifications of it. But it would seem to me after a couple days of reflection, and you can drill down into the data, you can get into the voter files, you can look at the margins, and this county was blue 4 years ago and it's red this time, and all of that is there and true and there to be read and digested and dissected. And it seems to me, here's the overarching, to me, here's the overarching narrative to be taken from this election. On many programs here on this show and the Sunday show, I have asked, guests have asked, George has asked, aren't we better than this? Do we not deserve better? Aren't we smarter than this? And about 60% of the country said no. This is exactly who we are. About 60% of the country, if you really think about the places where, local Senate and congressional candidates, well, statewide Senate, U.S. Senate, and congressional candidates actually did a bit better than Trump, and then you average that out with the places where he did better than they, about 55 to 60% of the country said no. Authoritarianism sounds good to us. We'll have some of that. Said billionaires ruling everything sounds good to us. We'll have that. They hate who we hate. Sounds good to me. And the final step, I think, to the full admission that we no longer live in a nation that cares about truth or wishes to seek it out or wishes to be educated or take that education upon themselves or learn what's true and what's false. It's just easier to be told what to think than to think. And so many times, especially here in 2024, it's a question we've asked throughout the life of the program, especially this year. We've asked you, is this really who we are? And Tuesday, America answered and said it's exactly who we are. It's fear over faith. It's corporate faith over real faith. It's guns over God. It's indignation over immigration. It is hate for your fellow human being rather than debate with your fellow human being. And look, we can get deeper into things, and we will a bit tonight, as much as I can, about roughly 16 million less people voted for Vice President Harris than voted for President Biden, either because they did not vote or because in sizable numbers, Latinos and Black men voted for Trump. And his percentage of white women went up. Not hugely, but it did go up. Kristen read one of the funniest things to me this morning. One of the groups that her group is affiliated with is an immigration group. They endorsed Trump. They told their members to vote for him. And then this morning released a press statement that said, now that we have the man we want in the White House, now we have to convince him not to deport everybody. What the ever-living fuck did you think he was talking about the entire campaign? You voted for the man who's going to deport all of you. Bye. See ya. See ya. Hope you can carry everything with you. I hope they don't rip your children away from you as they kick you out of the country. Now, here's the thing. I don't expect, genuinely, I do not expect there to be mass deportations, because at the end of the day, corporations I didn't even ask anybody to call yet. Go ahead, fuck it. Go for it. Go ahead, it's all yours. Take it.
Hey, bud. I didn't realize your phone was open. I was just going to check. You're kind of doom talking there because all those points that you're talking about are not new. They're not even a recent thing. It's an ongoing problem. I mean, I don't know why we were surprised. I'm not trying to say it like I told you so, but I was afraid that he was going to win. Most of Americans are just not bright, and a lot of the Trump support is coming from this evangelical Christian support base that he has. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm just letting you talk.
So, you know, I supposed to hear earlier today. I've been talking to other people. I've had a couple of job interviews since the other day. I think that there's like 175 million out of the 214 million, I think it was, somewhere close to that, registered voters actually voted. So we're still talking about either a chunk of America that's just not interested in voting, just throws up their hands and goes, I don't care. And then of those, it's still a minority thing of people that cared enough to get out and vote. But I think that a lot of this idea that he's going to be able to just get rid of regulatory agencies and departments of the government, I don't think that even having control of the Senate and the House, he's going to be able to pull that off, because he had this position again in 2016. The Republicans control all those levers of power, and they wouldn't end Obamacare, and they wouldn't really give him any money for his wall. They just wanted a tax break for their donors in Congress, and that's really about all he got. So I don't know. He's saying it's going to be full retribution, but how? Where is he going to deport these immigrants that he wants to round up? Because there's no little door that I know of at the Mexican border which says, you know, insert deportees here. Is he going to parachute them out of planes over Mexico? Where does he deport them to? Where would he even round them up and hold them? I mean, we'd have a huge surge in construction just to build the internment camps he'd have to put those people in. So I don't know. I kind of had the phone muted there for the tail end of what we were saying. But like, how does he get rid of the regulatory agencies? Because, you know, fresh food, you know, clean water, all depend on those things being carried out. I think that they won't let him do that because it would throw our food supply into chaos. You know what I mean?
Read Project 2025 is all I can say. Read Project 2025. The answers are right in front of you. It's exactly what they've been saying they're going to do. And we continue to tell you this. We continue to say this. I know that Mike and I disagree on it, and I respect it. Disagreement is good. It's okay. No, nobody ever has to agree with me about anything. I'm not that smart. But when you have blanket presidential immunity, you can do anything. You can violate the Constitution. You can break the law. Normally, in the America that we knew that's going to end in January, it would take an act of Congress to shut down a governmental department. You don't need Congress anymore. And by the way, you answered your own question. The Republicans have control of Congress, period. Both chambers. They have a comfortable Senate majority, not overwhelming, but a comfortable one. And I suspect by the time this is all done, they will have I think there's 8 House races that are left undecided. They will probably have a double-digit majority in the House. I'm not expecting it to be, 99. In fact, already mathematically we know it's not. But they'll have, I think, I'm using my memory again, I think they're going to have at least a majority of about a dozen in the House. They can do anything they want, period. Anything. Speaker Johnson's already told you one of his priorities is to get rid of the ACA and kick 45 million people out of healthcare, including Kristen. When you have no guardrails, when you have no rules, when the law no longer affects you, there's really not much you can't do. In a manner of speaking, and I respect Mike, I respect you that he doesn't see it this way. You've answered your own question. How can they do this? I just told you. Read the fucking document. It's 900 pages. It's a heavy, heavy read. There's also Cliff Notes versions of it that are available wide through the internet that are still there. Just read it. Trump said he's going to put Elon Musk in charge of determining how many people actually need to work for the federal government. Musk, on a regular basis, in all of his companies, will simply pick heads off of a list and fire all of them. Sometimes even when he needs them, just because he thinks it keeps the companies fresh and keeps everybody else on their toes. Project 2025 calls for the elimination of 30 to 50,000 career civil service jobs and another 100,000 replaced with Trump loyalists. We've told you all this before. And yet 55 to 60% of the country voted for it. And again, it's going to make for a really short program because they don't know how to expand on this. I don't know how to make you feel any better about it. I'm not even sure I could. I'm not sure it's my job. So yeah, I'm angry. You can call it doom scrolling. Again, I respect your opinion about it. I don't agree with it, but I respect it very much. And it's always, always welcome here. But it's right in front of you. We talked about this the entire campaign cycle. When he tells you what he's going to do, believe him. He told you what's coming. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. He told you what's coming. He said it to you. He told you what's coming. Bannon's already told you. Day one, kids, here it comes. Stephen Miller. In fact, in their tweets, I ask you to Google them and find them. They openly admit, we lied to you the entire campaign. By the way, Project 2025 was always the plan. We just wouldn't admit it. We wouldn't tell you that. The whole campaign was based on lies. I'm 55 and a half. By the time they bankrupt Social Security, 55 and 7 is still only 62. I will never retire. I will work until I'm dead, which I kind of thought was going to happen anyway. But you had Vice President Harris who wanted to eliminate the cap for Social Security so that it would be solid and solvent for another 70 plus years. Or Trump, who threw red meat out to the uneducated. I'm going to eliminate that tax from you so you can take home more money. How the fuck do you think the thing's funded? How do you think it's funded? This isn't rocket science. And once you cut off the funding for it and only the money goes out, what happens? It's just math. You have a glass of water, you drink it, you never put more water in, eventually it's empty, and then you can shut the entire agency down. Medicare's already 50% privatized. Some reports I've seen put it more towards 60%. It'll be 75+% by the time he's done in 4 years, if he even serves the entire 4 years. He's 78 plus years old, morbidly obese, and in bad health. Cognitively, he's not all there. That means President Vance for life. Because remember, Trump said that's the last time you have to vote. It's all right in front of you. It's all there. The answers are all right there. It's not doom scrolling when he tells you what he's going to do. He did an interview today with ABC, Trump did. And they asked him flat out, are you really honestly going to deport all these people? And he said, I have to now. I promised it. I have to. And I suspect he will. And by the way, When Mike's right to say this, by the way, he's 100% correct. Are you just going to drive them to Mexico and throw them out of a truck? Mexico doesn't want them. And there's no door. There's no, like Mike said, there's no door or gate that says, by the way, yeah, insert your immigrants here. He doesn't give a shit about that. Christ, he talked about bombing immigrants on the Mexican side of the border, which is an act of war, in his first term. He wanted to put sniper positions on the top of his wall. You think he cares there's no gate to shove these people back into Mexico? He doesn't care where they came from. If they came from Jamaica, he'll throw them into Mexico. He doesn't care. We're talking about the fundamental destruction of the American system, all for the sake of a handful of billionaires. When Musk's net worth doubles in the next 4 years, it'll be worth a staggering $500 billion. Are you kidding? He just wanted a tax cut, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it. And again, we can drill all down into these numbers. We could talk about the anger of the voters, their near complete misinformation about the state of the economy from the pandemic to now. The Confederate states who have benefited disproportionately by the CHIPS and Science Act. I mean, it's all right in front of us. It's not doom scrolling when it's fucking true. Trump said, I'm going to end this war in Ukraine. He is. He will. By leaving the Ukrainians to be overrun and slaughtered, which is exactly what Putin's going to do in conjunction with North Korea. Prior to the election, a report came out of Japan that they plan to dramatically increase their military spending because they completely expect to be left behind by the United States when China invades. As China begins to hopscotch its way across the Pacific, very similar to the way the United States did in World War II, fighting back against Japan, island hopping across the Pacific. "40 of the 67 counties in Pennsylvania had bomb threats at polling places on election day. 40 out of 67. The majority of which were traced to Russian sources. The Republican Secretary of State in Georgia, a man who's purged over 750,000 voters from the voter rolls illegally in just the last 4 years, Brad Raffensperger, said the bomb threats in Georgia were Russian-based. And today, President Putin came out and congratulated the very courageous Donald Trump. I suspect by this time next year, if we're still on the air and we're not all sleeping on cots in a camp, Ukraine will just be another part of Russia, and Putin will be picking the next one to invade. And since Trump will likely either ignore, defund, or flat out pull us out of NATO, so much for Article 5. If I'm Poland, I'm arming. If I'm the Baltics, I'm arming. If I'm Germany, I'm arming. The only people along that front that probably are worried, not looking forward to war, but not afraid one damn bit, are the Finns. Because all during World War II, Stalin could never take Finland. And he won't take Sweden. They're armed to the teeth. And they have been armed to the teeth since World War I, because of Russian aggression. But that's a whole different story for a different day. It would just seem to me, of all the different permutations and things that we can look at, things that we can be pissed off about, things that we can be disappointed about, and things that we can wring our hands over and cry about. And by the way, all of those things are natural and human. It's human to look for blame. I think there's quite a number of places where blame can be placed. Our media has absolutely failed us. Wholesale. And not just, by the way, the right-wing hate media. We know where they came from. We know where they continue to come from. We know who owns them. But our so-called mainstream media, who held a massive double standard throughout this entire election cycle, both against President Biden and Vice President Harris, the way they normalized Trump's truly bizarre, vulgar, disgusting, violent rhetoric and behavior. The Latino community turned on itself. That's not going to be a very popular thing. We don't have a huge number of Latinos that watch and listen to the program, but I suspect that comment will come back to bite me at some point. Well, somebody will come back to attack me over it. Latinos turned over themselves, turned on themselves. 20 points higher support, 20 percentage points more Latinos voted for Trump this cycle than 4 years ago. And now they think they're somehow going to stop him from deporting all of them. He doesn't give a fuck about you. You just voted to kick yourself out of the country. Don't let Trump's wall hit you in the ass on the way out. Trump improved his performance, is the word I'm groping for desperately, with black men by about 20 points. Because even black men would rather see another man in the White House than a woman. White women who under Project 2025 and don't bullshit me because it's in there. Women that Project 2025 thinks should be sent back to the 1960s, if not the 1860s, no longer have credit, own property, have jobs, all that stuff. You voted for it. Something I've said on this program, which is not popular, because I've basically only used this in regards to the fascist republics of Florida and Texas, full operating fascist dictatorships inside our own borders, is that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you get exactly the government you voted for. And sometimes you get exactly the government you deserve. Well, 55 to 60% of the country, again, depending on region. I mean, I think the final percentage, I think he did make it to 40. Can you Google that for me quickly, please? What the actual vote percentages were at the end? Not the numbers, but the actual percentages. I think he did hit 55%. I could be wrong about that. But roughly 55% of the country, you're going to get exactly what you deserve. You think you're going to get tax cuts? They're not coming. You think he's going to save Social Security? He's going to destroy it. All the farmers in the heartland, and even the farmers in California and farmers in Pennsylvania, who thought he's going to help you, when millions of tons of your crops die on the vine because there's no one to pick them. when the national sales tax of a tariff, and remember, he wants to put tariffs not just on Chinese goods, but all imported goods, period. They could come from the UK, Ireland, France, Taiwan, Australia. He wants to tariff everything that comes into this country. When we all get that tax increase, and then, of course, the most basic things of all, when he flat out said, I only want to be a dictator on day one. And if you just vote for me this time, you'll never have to vote again. Sometimes you get exactly the government you deserve. Sometimes you get exactly the government you voted for. Now, let me be very clear. It is a bit of a generalization because you really have
Numbers further.
Can I ask for anyone to call, or are we just arbitrarily calling?
I don't know when I lost you on the previous call.
Because you lost the signal. But go ahead, take over.
Well, no, I don't want to take over. I want to have a conversation with you. You know, I think that all of the things that he's promising, he's going to have a lot of the same problems he had in 2016. Like I said, couldn't get the border wall, couldn't get rid of Obamacare. They treated him, Connell, and that Republican Senate treated him like they're useful idiot. And they
McConnell's
just
no
did
longer in the
things.
Senate leadership. He stepped down from Senate leadership and also said he will not be running again and may not very well even serve out his term. He is in poor health as well. If you've seen him, he's
Right.
about half the size he was just 2 years ago.
Right. But, you know, good news for Mississippi.
There's no General
Benny
Kelly.
Thompson.
There's no General Milley. There's no even Reince Priebus. There's none of these people are there anymore. None of them. And they won't be there. You now have Steve Bannon, Matt Walsh, Stephen Miller. The woman that he named today to be his chief of staff is the woman who was the de facto campaign manager. Given credit for having Trump run, quote unquote, his most disciplined campaign thus far. His most disciplined campaign so far. I'll only be a dictator on day one. You'll never have to vote again. Kamala Harris is a bitch. Puerto Rico's a floating island of garbage. Latinos make too many babies. Arnold Palmer's penis. This is the most disciplined campaign in history, or at least in Trump's history. And she's going to run a White House chief of staff, or she's going to run a White House. She's going to run an administration. She's never been in an administrative governmental position. All of the guardrails are gone. They're gone. Here's where I will agree with you to a point. It might take longer than he thinks. Maybe some of the Republicans will grow a backbone and say, you know what? My career is over if I destroy Social Security. Maybe that'll happen, Mike, because you're right. And we've talked about it on the program before. They had complete one-party control in 2018. Sorry, take that back. 2017, after the inauguration, Jeff. 2017, and they still couldn't kill the ACA. Tried 43 times in 2 years, and they still couldn't kill it. So you might be right. You might be right. It might take a little longer. But none of those people are going to be there this time. None. Even Steve Mnuchin, billionaire Steve Mnuchin, and Mike Esper, Jeff Sessions. Good God, Jeff Sessions looks like one of the framers compared to what we're about ready to see.
Right. But, there's some of these threats.
I'm taking him at his word. I'm taking him at his
and I
word.
don't blame you for taking him at his word. But, some of those things are insane, like getting rid of the, NOAA, the National Weather Service, all this kind of stuff. I don't know how Elon Musk plans to fly rockets without it.
But you can then privatize it. Musk has already talked about running a private version of NOAA. And the only way you can get their forecasting is if you subscribe and pay them a fee. Government included, by the way.
All right.
Why did Musk turn off Starlink over Ukraine? Because Putin called him an ass.
Well, I see that Randall is calling me an asshole for
you can't keep telling
wanting
me
to
that
discuss
this is
it with you.
It's not normal. None of this is normal. And again, I'm only taking them at their word. I understand that you, from your point of view, and if I'm putting words in your mouth, you can tell me, that the normal guardrails of government that we've grown up with, that we learned about in civics, would say that this stuff can't happen. But read Project 2025 or watch a YouTube video over it. It completely ignores, bypasses any of the norms of government. And his hand-picked Supreme Court gave him immunity. He can violate the Constitution at will. He can break the law at will. Period.
Well, there's an enormous bureaucracy that I think even Trump and his gleeful co-conspirators don't understand how hard it's going to be.
For dismantling all of it. Talking about the firing of about 150,000 civil servants.
I find it
all right there,
beyond my ability to believe.
Then that's the problem.
It's like bringing the guy in that doesn't know how to run the computer system.
He doesn't have to know how to
replace
run
those guys.
People around him are going to run it. He's not interested in running it. Jack Smith,
I understand that.
Jack Smith already talked yesterday, the special prosecutor in the documents in January 6 cases, already said, time for me to wrap up. This is never going to go anywhere. Because he's going to get fired on January 20th anyway. He's gotten away with all of it. He's going to make another several $billions in the next 4 years, which is all he cares about in the first place. And if he doesn't serve out the term, either from a health issue or he just decides to walk away, Vance for president for life. And it's only because they've said it. I'm not making this shit up. They've said it.
And I know you're
in the document. And I think you're like a lot of other folks. And I don't blame anybody for that. Please don't take it that way. I can't comprehend that these things are going to happen. I'm paraphrasing what you just said. I can't comprehend it. You better start. Because it's right there. I can't comprehend it to a point. I can't imagine a U.S. where every time I want to leave Northampton County, I have to show my papers. I can't fathom that either. But it's all right there. It's right in front of us. It's in black and white. J.D. Vance wrote the foreword to the book. It's all there. Again, Trump himself said on ABC today, I have to deport these people. I promised. I mean, I get it. I get it. Even Tom Hartman yesterday, I didn't get the chance to listen to him at all today. As people called up to talk to him, many in a very desperate state, one of the callers said the best we can hope for is to flip one of the houses of Congress in 2 years. And Hartman said, you are correct. And then the caller said, do you think we'll have elections in 2 years? And Hartman said, in 2 years, yes. I can't promise you in 4 years.
Well, I mean, the one good thing I can offer on that point is my congressional representative, the House Representative, Benny Thompson, held his seat. He is reelected, and he is our congressman for East Mississippi through Jackson and into Vicksburg and Natchez along the Mississippi River. So, we still have Democrats in the Congress, in the Senate, in the House. We still have all of those people. I mean, California is drawing up. Governor Newsom's drawing up how to firewall California away from all of these things he's trying to do.
As he should.
And there's other Democratic states. And I know it's depressing.
And
I mean, your own state there went
fast enough.
Well, I mean, your own state there voted, pretty much like Mississippi did,
which is
and that
also
astounds
something.
me.
It's also something that I told you going into Election Day that I did not trust Pennsylvania to do the right thing. She did not carry. She didn't carry. I think she lost about a third of the counties that President Biden won. When you combine that with the fact that voter turnout in Philadelphia was down significantly, on top of the fact that here in Pennsylvania, 20 points higher performance for Trump with Latinos and black men, while holding all the white women that he's held into, figuratively, not literally, he would love to hold them all, but holding all those, holding that percentage that he's held in the past two elections. He ran.
Here's one thing I'd like to interject there, though, and it's one of the things that I've been seeing creep up a little bit yesterday, and I've seen it creep up online today. Isn't it interesting how we were told, it's going to take days and days and days for this election to be decided, and then it was like, I don't know what it was, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. that Trump just waltzed out there and accepted it. And we've all accepted it. And I'm wondering if, he really didn't win Georgia, or he really didn't win a place like Pennsylvania, because nobody's calling for a hand recount anywhere.
Because the margins are high enough that they can't, unless the Harris campaign wanted to pay for a recount, which is what the law is in Pennsylvania. I cannot speak for the other states because I would be speaking out of turn, and I would in all likelihood be incorrect. The law in Pennsylvania is that a recount is automatically triggered when the race is, I think, 0.2 of a point or less in vote difference.
But doesn't it?
Or the campaign has to pay for it, which is tens of millions.
Doesn't it strike you about some of those margins? And I start to wonder, well, did he have people in place?
No, it really isn't. His campaign, if you go back even to the early stages of it, when he announced he was going to run again in December of 22, it was.
Probably.
December 2022. Held a $1 million fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago and said, I'm running for president again. His campaign from the beginning said, it's not going to be close. We have this in the bag. It's not going to be close. Watch. Just trust us. It's not going to be close. And they were right. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it really wasn't close. It was a very decisive victory. If this had been as close as it was in 2020, then yeah, you and I would still be talking about maybe we'll know by Saturday. But we knew that night. And I'll tell you what, I was in bed by midnight. I already knew it was over, even though it wasn't declared, because he won Pennsylvania. She had almost no path to victory without Pennsylvania. He won Michigan handily. He had, as soon as he took North Carolina, she was in trouble. So he should have claimed victory because he had victory. And she conceded because she lost. It was that decisive. Christ, Mike, he increased his performance in California. the fifth largest economy, the bluest of blue. We went into the 10 o'clock hour. It's 11 o'clock. I might even be later. If you go back, I mean, it's a pain in the ass to go look back at it because you're talking about tens of hours of recording. So I'm being. George, did we get an answer about Superplex? It's already 3 minutes. I got 3 minutes left. Did they answer you?
Yeah, I texted you. Yes, they are on tonight
They are
at
on.
9.
Okay. So I got 2 minutes and I got to sign off. Mike, I'm going to say goodbye because I got to get off.
All right, buddy.
Thank you, mate. You take care of yourself.
I'm worried about your health. I'm worried about your
My health is
depression
not,
about this.
My health is not related to this. My depression about this is realism, unfortunately. I don't want to be rude. I need to go. I need to end up.
I understand. Keep some faith.
I'll talk to you.
Night.
I'll talk to you Sunday. You take care of yourself and good luck on the jobs. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Shit. Lost my train of thought. Son of a bitch. George, what the fuck was I talking about? Fucking lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what it was now. Into the 10 and I think 11 o'clock hour. If you look at Kornacki's maps from election night, New Jersey. They didn't call New Jersey. New Jersey hasn't voted for a Republican since Reagan. They didn't call New Jersey until nearly midnight. He improved everywhere. And at the end of the day, it comes back to what I believe, and you don't have to agree with me, nobody ever does, that is the number one top overarching, indisputable takeaway from this election is that this is what the country wants, what the majority of the country wants. He won the national popular vote because he decreased the margins in the blue states and increased his margins in the red states. He won the national popular vote. Careful, folks. All the folks who might be listening in the red states, to the one Twitch troll who still somehow thinks I'm lying to you, careful what you wish for. Because sometimes you get it. For everyone at GCPR, for everyone that surrounds this program, Lynn and George, Kristen, Daisy the dog, and of course April Riddick, I'm Jeff Kennedy. We'll see you Sunday from 6 p.m. Superplex Party starts right